So welcome, everyone. We're thrilled that you could join us for today's Change Ambassador Network meeting. So before we get started, we wanted to take a moment and acknowledge the unceded territories. Oops, I'm moving slides accidentally. Acknowledge the unceded territories that we're all on today. For the Council, we're located in Vancouver, and so we'd like to acknowledge the unceded territories of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam Nations, and who are hosting us today. And then, as we know that people are all over the whole province today, I want to really acknowledge the host territories that each of us is on before we begin today. Sort of mapping things out, as I mentioned, as those of you who are joining the call, please take a couple minutes and introduce yourselves, who you are, where you're from. I see lots of people doing that, so welcome, welcome. So if you've never used WebEx before, the chat box is in the bottom right-hand side, and you just want to make sure you select to send to all participants where everyone can see you're welcome. So thanks so much for joining us today. We're delighted to have you on the line. We also want to just let you know that we are recording today's session, so we're having a chance to record it so other people can view it at a later date. So we really welcome you to check out the recording or share it with friends. Anyone who can't make today's call, we'll take it from there. Last but not least, we have hashtags. So if you've got Twitter, we wanted to invite you to get tweeting today. Make lots of noise, get things out there around what's happening for Change Day across the province. So the hashtags that we welcome you to use are certainly CanBC for our webinar today, but the Change Day hashtag is the one we're really going to be trying to get some action on. So encourage you to use that if you're tweeting out some of the amazing messages you hear today. We also have our Twitter handles, certainly for the Council, as well as Change Day BC. So you notice that we changed our hashtag a little bit this year for Change Day to exclude the BC so that we're actually aligned with the tweeting that's happening all over the world for Change Day this time around. So this is the Change Ambassador Network. These are our regular calls and meetings that happen. And this group started out of the sort of grassroots champions of Change Day in 2015, and it kind of emerged from that group. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with the network, and if you're interested in joining, I know Sue's going to kindly pop the link to join the network into the chat box for you all. We really do invite you to join us if you're not already a member. So given the alignment with Change Day and that the Change Ambassador Network came out of this group, it seems truly amazing to announce that we're back. We're really, really delighted to say that Change Day is back, and the Council, along with partners, we have over 43 partners, I think, as of this morning. They're coming in faster than we can count them these days. We're planning another Change Day on November 17th, 2017. We're so excited about it. So together, we're really hoping to build on the success of our last Change Day. Our goal was 5,000 pledges, and we got close to 8,000, and we're really hoping we can do that again in BC, so we're so excited to have people joining us today. We're going to give you a bit of a background. Certainly really excited, and it really started as a global movement in the National Health Service, and it's just built on that. And we're really excited that this year, Change Day is actually on the same day in British Columbia, Alberta, and Ontario, and that the last day of Change Week in the National Health Services is actually on the same day as well. So this alignment globally and across the country is really exciting. So we really want to make some noise around Change Day and spark a real ripple effect of positive change across the system and across the province. So for those of you who are familiar with Change Day, this might be a little repetition, but we wanted to give a bit of an overview for anyone who was new to Change Day quickly. So we won't spend a lot of time on this, but this is really a movement about inspiring positive change. And so what we're doing is inviting anyone to really help commit to making a change to make something better for the system. And our goal is to collect 5,000 pledges from now until Change Day. So, it's coming up really quickly, and we really want to get that momentum of change. And so we're really excited about what this could mean. So for those of you who are new to Change Day, you might think, what is a pledge? So really it's anything that you're going to commit to doing, something you're doing to improve health or social care. It's committing to make a change. And we'll show you some examples of some pledges shortly. And you're going to get to hear from our incredible change ambassadors and some of the ambassador work that they've done in action across the province. So the other thing really we want to emphasize is that anyone can make a pledge for Change Day. So patients, residents, clients, families, people working in the health system are all invited to participate. Last time we actually had a lot of interest from schools, and so we have created a lesson plan again for Change Day for anyone who's interested. It's up on our website. To make a pledge is really simple. We just ask you to pick something that you're passionate about. What is something you really care about? What is something you'd like to see change and transform in the system? Is there anything you'd like to see around improving care? Is there something you'd like to learn and get exposure to? All the possibilities of what your pledges can be. And the nice thing is you can make your pledge online by going to the website, and Sue's going to pop that link right in the chat box. You can even go do it now if you're so inspired, or you can complete and mail us the pledge postcard. We'll actually take pledges in any way you want to send them to us. Last time around, we actually received a lot of pledges as photographs. So just welcome you to make a pledge and send them our way any way you like. So if you're thinking, I'm not sure what a pledge is, and you're looking for examples of what we've seen before for pledges is, some examples of, wearing a patient gown and spending a day attached to an ID pole. We had a soft launch of Change Day, and for those of you who were here last time would have heard about Michael and his team at Delta View Care Enrichment Center, where the entire team wore adult incontinence products. And not only wore them, but they used them to get a better sense of what it's like for their residents each and every day. Encouraging patients to ask questions, talking about mental health. We've already had some pledges this year around cultural safety and humility. So thinking about some examples, here's a few that will inspire you, and certainly there's many pledges online that you can take and run with. So as before, we've created an abundance of resources for you to leverage and use for Change Day. And these resources are really meant to make it as easy as possible, an out-of-the-box kit to give you what you need to help participate in Change Day. We've got a Getting Started kit, which includes article templates, newsletter templates, sample tweets even that you can use. We've created buttons, Post-it notes, postcards, templates, and more, and these are all available for order, and Sue's ahead of the game. She's already popped that into the chat box here, so if you want to order resources, they're available for you to order now, and so we invite you to get online and order. We wanted to give you a little bit of an update, and it's interesting because I noticed the team already put a little note in the chat box that we broke 100 pledges. So the pledges have been coming in fast and furious already today. It's been interesting. I think we've gotten about 20, received about 20 pledges today. So the interesting thing you can see here is we did do a quiet launch of Change Day with our Change Ambassador Network, but we've already shipped over 11,000 resources across the province for Change Day. So there's lots of interest and people keen to be participating, so we're really excited about that. And it's great to see Fatima notice that we're actually at 103 pledges, so we've got 10 more pledges even than what we had, and this infographic was just created about an hour and a half ago, so you can see they're coming in pretty quickly. We're at 44 partners, and this number is increasing almost as rapidly as the pledges right now. We're seeing a huge amount of interest in the system from various organizations who are joining us to be partners for Change Day, and we're just thrilled and really want to acknowledge all those partners. And take a couple minutes even to check out the website. Our partners page has a logo for every one of our partners and a chance to see the work that we're doing together. We're already seeing top organizations, too, in terms of the kinds and numbers of pledges that are coming in. And look at Island Health is leading the way. No competition at all there, Island Health, with 39 pledges. So they're fast out of the gate, getting lots of action happening. And I see Sonia Chandler's on the line sending happy notes in the chat box. So just wanted to give you a bit of a glimpse of Change Day. Although today is our official launch webinar, we're already seeing lots of action across the system, and we're really very excited about this buzz. All right, so now it's a poll. So I'm actually going to hand the ball over to Sue, and we wanted to play around and have a little poll today with you and say, how many of you have already made your pledge for Change Day? So we're going to see those results right now. All right, so the question's up in the chat box. Have you made your Change Day pledge? We encourage you to just answer this one right now, and Sue can actually show us the results. I think you'll have to set it up so we can see the results online or read them out to us. So we just have a short time for the pledge, so we'll get you to put your answer in and just hit, once you select one of the radio buttons, you just hit submit, and your pledge will, or your answer will be registered. Maybe just leave it a couple more minutes. We can probably close the poll early. Do you want to share the results, Sue? Drum roll. Maybe somebody wants to tell a joke right now. Well, we're seeing our results. So great. Thank you so much for showing those up, Sue. That's great. So right now we've got a few folks on the line. We've got 50 folks on the line. And a few haven't answered, but 17 of people who've called in today have already made their pledge. A few haven't, and some of them haven't yet, but they're going to plan to. So we welcome you to get online and make a pledge, and we look forward to hearing what your pledge looks like in action. So welcome, and thanks again for taking the time to pledge. Hand the ball back to me if that's okay, Sue, and we'll take it from there. All right, so it's with pleasure now that we get to take it forward to our ambassadors in action. This is the good part of the call, the best part of the call, when we get to hear what people have done across the system for Change Day. So we're really excited today to have Katie, Quirk, and Ryan McKay join us. They also have an additional partner, Jessica, who's an RN with the patient navigation team, who's sitting in with them as well. Now, Katie and Ryan are both with Burnaby General Hospital, and we're very active participants in Change Day 2015. And, you know, it's really amazing to hear the stories of what people have done in action. And I really look forward to hearing your response to Katie and Ryan's messages. So I'm going to hand it over to you now. I'm just passing you the ball, Katie. And thank you for joining us today.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I hope you guys can hear us okay. I'm Katie.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Jessica.
Hey.
So we're just going to talk to you a little bit today about our experience in 2015, the work we did, and the work that's been continuing since then.
Great.
So, yeah, hopefully I can move these slides along here. Okay.
Okay, so yes, I'm a member of the patient navigation team at Burnaby Hospital. I've been a part of that team for 2 years now. And this project with Change Day was probably the first, I think, initiative that I was a part of. And for those of you who are wondering, what is a patient navigation team? We're 2 frontline nurses and 1 manager, and our goal is really just to explore frontline solutions on safety and quality at our site. And so this really aligned well with what our role is meant to do. So when it was brought to us, it was actually Tiffany Ng, who was my partner in RN, myself and Katie. And we got talking about how can we generate some interest, you know, how can we get people engaged, how can we impart the goals of Change Day. We wanted to promote advocacy for our patients. We wanted to kind of get people to reflect on the patient experience, and we wanted to make it fun, you know. So we agreed that, you know, maybe a competition might kind of get people engaged and may keep the conversation alive for the few weeks leading up to the Change Day event. And we decided a contest was the way to go. So the winner of the contest was to be drawn randomly. We didn't want it to become, you know, a little too competitive. But at the same time, if a unit had more pledges in the box, then they had a greater chance of winning. And the prize was a pizza lunch that administration agreed to pay for. So we created these posters that's on this slide. We went around to 40 units and departments, so not just our medical surgical wards or emerge. We went to the laundry, we went to the security office, we went to, you know, the plant services office. We got talking to a lot of people. We covered a lot of ground and spread the word. When we were done putting out the posters, we got a roving cart session together where we would go unit to unit. We brought tea, chocolates, and cookies, and by the way, that's like the key to getting people to, you know, come to you to talk to you, is having those tea and cookies available. And we try to make it fun, appeal to their desire to advocate for their patients. You know, we reviewed the contest. We tried to promote a little friendly competition with their neighbors, and we also advertised a booth that we had planned for the actual date, which was on October 15th of the year. And we advertised to staff to please come out and support Change Day on the day of. So when we conducted that roving cart, to our surprise, we were able to pull together 320 pledges. And that was a really good start. And we gathered those pledges together, and then on the day of the event, we put a booth together, and a representative from the BC Patient Safety Quality Council was there, Chelsea. She brought a bunch of swag, so you can see in the picture here, there's a bunch of pins and shirts, and we had a raffle for some of those shirts. And we would basically pull our friends and colleagues from the hall over to the booth and get them engaged, and there's a lot of smiles and a lot of laughter, and we try to make it as fun as we could there. And that's me with Tiffany and Chelsea in this picture here. And we were able to generate another 71 pledges on the day of. We took a lot of pictures too, and we engaged the public. We didn't just talk to staff, we were talking to patients, and a lot of patients and a lot of families were really interested in what this was all about. And I think the message it sends to the public was, probably of even more benefit, because it really demonstrates that the site is considering how we can improve and how we can consider our patients. And so the booth helped that way for sure. We took a lot of pictures, and I think that's great because you want to summarize what you've done. And going into the summary, we had an artistic member of our staff create this change tree, and she painted this tree on our window right at the third floor elevator, which is probably one of the most walked by areas in the hospital. And when the elevator doors open, that's the first thing you saw. And we transcribed quite a number of those pledges onto leaves and stuck them up on the tree. And that was a really great thing because it lived there for so long afterwards. It's still there, actually. It's evolved. So in the winter of that year, we created snowflakes that you see on the tree there. And in the fall, we created blossoms. And in the spring, we created blossoms. And in the fall, we created fall leaves the following year. So we continued to gather pledges and with different initiatives and adorn the tree. Eventually, they created some wayfinding signs that got in the way of our tree, but what we did instead was we brought in another artist and we updated our tree. And we've actually added, since this picture was taken, butterflies, and with the What Matters to You campaign, patients were able to mark down what matters to them, and those patient messages are now a part of that tree. So the tree has become a bit of our mascot with regard to patient quality and advocacy. And so that was a really nice legacy that the Change Day event in 2015 left with us. I'd also mention, we did some write-ups on the day. So we tried to capture the essence of what it was all about and what we were the interest we were able to generate. And we did these write-ups and we put them in some newsletters like the Burnaby Buzz and what was the other one called now? The Burnaby Beat. The Beat. Yeah. And so those were helpful in spreading the word and reaching out to even more people, so that the demonstration of this attention to patient care and advocacy was really shared as widely as possible. On the balance, I think this was an excellent event for site morale because it brought together areas and departments and people who might not typically intermingle as readily, all that readily, or maybe we've seen each other in the hall, but we haven't really had anything to talk about directly because we're not working directly together. So, when you have an event like this, it really kind of brings us all back to the central purpose of why we got into healthcare, or why we work in a healthcare site. And I think it really was a great way to kick off my role on the patient navigation team. And eventually they did, the BC Patient Safety Quality Council, man, I always get that wrong. They put together a little video on the day and they shared that at the Quality Forum in 2016, which really was quite heartening. And we had a number of representatives from Burnaby Hospital who were present, and I think gave us all, our whole site, something to take pride in. So I'd say, make this as big a thing as you can, reach out to as many people as you can, keep it light and fun, and be creative. And it was a great experience for us at Burnaby.
Yeah, I'll just add that I think one of the most powerful things about this was that we were able to build on the momentum through not just our site, but through the province. And this change initiative, as Ryan alluded to, is still occurring here. Like, we've been able to incorporate through our tree different initiatives. So it's really a living sort of process for us. And I know personally that every time I walk by that window, I see my pledge and I read it and I recommit. So it's been a positive thing, I think, for individuals and our site. And I know we're excited to find ways to participate in Change Day this year and maybe grow the tree. Maybe we'll have birds. Who knows? Who knows what'll end up on the tree this time? But yeah, it was definitely a really positive experience and one that I think we'll be eager to participate in again.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Katie and Ryan and Jessica, for joining us today. We're really excited to hear your story, and I think, hearing of the living process, I think is really important, how there's been a legacy to this work and the ripple effect you've had. I'm going to just invite folks to hold their questions. We're going to hear all our presenters, and we'll maybe have some questions for you. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to comment on, Katie or Ryan, or Jessica for that matter?
I don't think so. I'm curious to see what other people have to say as well. I just like to comment that I love the blue color. That, I think that blue is my favorite color, and I think you picked a great shade of it. So I'm happy.
Thank you. For those of us on the call, we can do a shameless promotion of the Change Day BC t-shirt. Maybe I'll stand up a little bit so you can see it. So there's a Change Day logo on the front, and on the back there's a pledge sign. And so we've got our Change Day t-shirts. Ryan and Katie are wearing theirs. I don't think you've got one, Jessica. We'll have to work on that. So thank you. We do have these t-shirts available right now on our website as well. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, for hearing your story. And really, it's amazing to hear the positive ripple effect you talked about, both at an individual and an organizational level. So hold tight with questions. We're going to do them all after our wonderful ambassadors speak. I'm going to take it to the next level now and going to hand it over. So right now, it's my pleasure that we get to hear from Tracy Lust. So Tracy Lust joined Change Day BC also as a Change Day ambassador, and also was another passionate person committed to really seeing Change Day flourish. The stories that I heard from Tracy warmed my heart. Stories of patients who are receiving chemotherapy, going through their own treatment as we face that battle with cancer. It can be a difficult journey. And just amazing to hear the stories of how they brought this to the BC Cancer Agency. So, Tracy, I will be your personal minion and move your slides for you. And welcome. I'll hand it over to you now.
Thanks so much, Colleen. Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be part of this group again this year and bring information about what we did at the Cancer Agency throughout the province to join Change Day. In 2015, I attended the Quality Forum when the first Change Day was announced, and I was so excited to hear about this kind of opportunity and was going through all kinds of things in my mind of how could I get this going at the Cancer Agency, what could I do, what meetings could I go to, and as I walked out into the lobby, there was all of the promotional material, all of the council members waiting to provide support and materials and everything down to PowerPoints. It was amazing. That kind of support from the council really set things in motion for me. Initially, when I came back to the Cancer Agency, it was a little bit hard to get everyone's attention and to really get their commitment to be involved in Change Day at grassroots level. People were really wondering if the executive, if the leadership knew about this, and explaining that it was grassroots, that anyone could be involved. But once, as you can see in this photo here, that we had some senior leaders at the Cancer Agency get involved, start to endorse Change Day, make their pledges, that's where things really gained momentum. The next slide, please, Colleen. Great, thank you. We have 6 centers for the Cancer Agency all throughout the province. Up north, mid of the province where Colleen is, down in over in the island, and here in the Lower Mainland. So it's a really diverse agency. We wanted to make sure that we reached everyone that we could, and so we tied Change Day, the Change Day initiative, into other initiatives that were already going to be happening at the Cancer Agency, and that was Patient Safety Week. That is sponsored yearly by the Canadian Patient Safety Institute, CPSI, and their theme that year was Ask, Listen, Talk. And so we added the Ask, Listen, Talk pledge into Change Day. And so we sent posters all across to all of our centers. We talked to as many employees through all of the methods that we had, through meetings, through different newsletters, to let them know that Change Day was happening, what it was all about, and that it was endorsed by our health authority and by our agency. The next slide, please, Colleen. So we went to every single center to do this personally, to celebrate Change Day personally, as well as Patient Safety Week with our employees across the province, as well as with our patients and their family members, whoever is supporting them as they're going through their cancer treatment. the Patient Safety Council, they're amazing. All I can say is they offered to crash our parties, and we definitely took them up on their offer. A representative from the council came to all of our agencies during our Safety Week and Change Day festivities and joined our booth, brought material, and really helped us make it the celebration that it should be. And the next slide, please. So from the folks from Burnaby, thank you for, I just lost power. Not sure if that's happened here. Hang on for a second. There we go. Back online. We definitely, from the ambassador, the Change Day Ambassador Network was so helpful in organizing everything for the Cancer Agency. We definitely stole ideas, the tree idea and getting the pledges as leaves. We definitely stole that from Burnaby. Thank you so much, Katie and Michael. But on a much smaller scale, we were in public lobbies of each of our agencies because we wanted to reach not only our employees, but all of our patients and families as well. So it was really a wonderful way for all of us to keep in touch with each other through the Ambassador Network, but also to connect with our patients and families to let them know what we were doing to pledge our changes. And then our last slide, please. And here you can see one of our volunteers at one of the Cancer Agency centers who also is brings his dog. He was a patient in the past and really wanted to be part of this. Initially, patients and families thought we were asking for money. And when we explained to them what was going on, what Change Day was about, what a pledge was about, they embraced it as well. And the pledges from patients and families as to how they were approaching their own cancer care experience, how they were supporting their loved ones, those were the amazing pledges, and that really motivated employees at each of those centers to put their own pledges forward. So really looking forward to Change Day 2017. We're absolutely going to be part of this. I would encourage everyone to participate in whatever way that you can. Join the network. It's a great way to find out what's happening in the rest of the province. And you just never know what kind of feedback that you're going to get from all your employees, from all of your patients and families. It's amazing information. So thanks again to the Council, and I look forward to joining you all this year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tracy. It's always a pleasure to hear from you and hear what you did at the Cancer Agency. It's just lovely. And again, we're going to hold the time for questions after this. But one thing I hear common between both your words as well as Katie and Ryan's is the role of patients in this, and the place that they played is inviting patients in to also making a pledge. And I love what you said about it's not about money, and I think that's a common thing. People see a pledge and they think we're looking to fundraise, but what it's all about is committing to that action, and those actions are so powerful. And you know, when we heard some of the actions that you shared before from patients, some of the things they're doing to take care of their own wellness on their journey was just so inspiring. So thank you for joining us. I think one thing we know is that Change Day and pledges do create a ripple effect. They create a ripple effect that we can't even always anticipate what that will be. And I think our next speaker is such a great example of some of the ripple effects we saw. Just a pleasure again, I get to introduce Michael McMillan. Michael McMillan, again, was an incredible advocate and champion, a member of the Change Ambassador Network, and it was one of the bright faces in the cloud when we did our initial launch breakfast meeting at the forum the year that Change Day launched. At the time of Change Day 2015, Michael was the coup for the Northern Interior with Northern Health. And since that time, Michael has moved on to be the new CEO of the Health Employers Association of BC. So he's going to be sharing with us from both perspectives today, and we'll be taking it from there. So Michael, I'm going to hand the ball to you so you can navigate your slides.
I'll see if I can use the technology. I apologize for my camera not working. I have no idea what to do to actually turn that on. As Colleen said, previously I was the Chief Operating Officer for the Northern Interior and Northern Interior portion of Northern Health. Change Day resonated in the North with us significantly. One of the keys for the North, I think, was the senior leadership support. The CEO for Northern Health, Kathy Elrick, is fond of saying, or is known for saying that quality happens where people serve people. And Colleen, my slide, oh, there it goes.
Oh, good.
We had over 500 pledges, and out of, for 7,000 employees, I think that was a pretty good percentage. But I'm going to talk about why Change Day was important and then give you some examples of what Northern Health did. And the fundamental reason why, for me, Change Day was important goes back to that belief through Northern Health that quality happens where people serve people, where people provide care, where people provide service to other parts of the system. So that visible support from senior leadership was important, but the real important piece of the success in the North was the grassroots support. The Change network provincially was replicated in some ways in Northern Health by a network of staff that took it on, frontline staff that took on championing the cause and encouraging other people, and it resonated so significantly. Try and use the technology here. My Change Day 2015 pledge was relevant at the time and is even more relevant now. I pledged to engage frontline staff where they work in conversations about quality patient care. And by and large, that was conversations around patient-centered care and how they were contributing to improving care for patients, how they contributed to actually serving patients. And as I've taken on the role of CEO at the Health Employers Association of BC, one of the interesting things I find is that having those conversations with my staff about how they contribute to recruitment of physicians or efforts underway in terms of workplace health and safety, violence prevention, all of these initiatives that they work on, being able to connect them in conversation to how that makes a difference at the front line has actually motivated people and helped them understand the importance of what they work. So that ripple effect that Colleen talked about was very important. I want to talk to you just a little bit about the potential for significant impact. Amy was a staff person in Northern Health, and she pledged to spend a day eating only thickened liquids and pureed food. She was very passionate about the difference that makes for patients, and it was one of the things that caught our board's attention. So in terms of senior support, we reported to the board on Change Day initiatives and profiled some of the Change Day pledges that our staff made. This one actually caught the attention of our board members, and they actually had Amy come and present and serve them thickened liquid. She didn't serve them pureed food. I think that was just a little bit far outside their comfort zone, but they all tried the thickened liquids, which doesn't actually sound, as Colleen takes a drink, doesn't actually sound all that bad until you've actually tried it. And just those types of pledges where people actually take on a little bit of what the impact for patients are on some of the things that we in the system prescribe for them, require them to do. It makes a huge difference in understanding and having the ability to have conversations with patients and families. So the ripple effect of this one was very significant. Some of the things that I think are key around here, and this is one of the reasons that I personally think Change Day is so important, is it's the power of choice. So often in the system, people are told what the next project, the next improvement, the next piece of work they have to take on. Change Day gives that choice back to individuals. It lets them actually make a choice about something that's important to them, big or small, and gives them back choice in what they're going to focus on, even for very small pledges or something as significant as some of the pledges that people made about big projects. The other, and this has been a bit of a theme that's gone through it, and it's interesting because we all did our slides independently, but don't underestimate the power of a single pledge and the ripple effect. And for me, as I've gone back to think about my pledge and some of the pledges that staff made, I actually had forgotten one of the pledges that impacted me personally. So I lived in Prince George. I traveled to Vancouver a lot and have subsequently now moved to Vancouver. One of the things that I do now when I walk on the downtown streets in Vancouver in particular is, and anybody that's been here or works here or lives here knows that there are a lot of homeless people on the streets in Vancouver. One of my staff was down, had an experience, and her pledge was actually to provide food for homeless people, and she underwent she planned it, she got gift certificates, she went out, she did this in Prince George, and I know she does it in Vancouver when she's here. That personally affected me, and I've taken to doing the similar thing. And one of the things in terms of the ripple effect is you never know who you'll be affecting by those pledges, and I think it's been a profound effect for a number of people because she's talked about it, and I know it has impacted other people. So tips for success, just quickly, top-down support is important, and that, I mean frontline leadership, so supporting frontline leaders and having those conversations. Engaging staff in all of the examples that the other presenters used are all great examples, but the common theme is engaging staff in conversations about Change Day, and then highlighting the ripple effect would be my recommendations. HEABC is a bit different. You know, often I think people might be a bit surprised that as a Health Employers Association that would be participating in Change Day. We participated in 2015, but we are absolutely committed to participating in 2017. And I think it's important for organizations that are not as directly connected to patient care to participate. The entire system supports quality patient care, patient, resident, and client care. And what is important for me is to highlight for HEABC and my staff, I've gone from 7,000 staff in Northern Health, 3,000 of whom worked in the Northern Interior, to an organization that has 120 staff, so I can almost individually have conversations with each and every person around Change Day. We have a very committed group, a social committee that is actually behind the efforts in Change Day. We're committed to working internally with external partners, so I've had the opportunity to go to various unions regularly, and I mentioned Change Day. I was just at the Doctors of BC today talking about a big initiative that we have and mentioned Change Day. I didn't quite have the guts to wear my T-shirt that I do have on now and you can't see, because it was a bit of a bargaining type of session with them, but absolutely committing. And it was interesting to talk about it and not have anybody there, including some ministry people were there, really know what Change Day was. I took the opportunity to have a little conversation with them. So I will be encouraging all sorts of internal staff to participate. We've already got 6 pledges out of 120 staff. But I'll also be encouraging partners to participate, and our staff will hopefully be encouraging partners. So I talked about the impact of that pledge by that staff member in terms of me supporting homeless, and a significant number of homeless people, I think everybody knows, have mental health issues. I also have a personal passion around mental health. So my personal pledge today that I've made on the site is to make a difference by volunteering with a mental health serving organization this year, and I've already put in place actions to have that happen. I'm just waiting for the reply, hopefully, from the organization that I've reached out to see what I can do to volunteer. And so I think for all of us as Change Day ambassadors, one of the important things is for us to make our pledges, for us to be visible in the fact that we've made them and talk about them, and talk about why they're important to us. So talk about, so mine in particular around mental health is because I have a family. I have a daughter who talks about her mental health issues. She's doing well now, but she went through a tough period of time, and it profoundly affected me, and it profoundly affected how I saw people with mental health. So I think making your pledge, talking about why it's important to you, and then visibly following through are keys for all of us as Change Day ambassadors. I think, Colleen, that was my last slide. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I think, in talking about the pledges, talking about the visibility, talking about talking up your pledges and why they're important, and your own vulnerability of sharing why this is important to you, and then ultimately how Change Day is all about action, and I think that's so important. And I think you touched on a number of points, well, all of you did, all of our ambassadors today. It's just truly amazing to hear, the recurring theme of patience, the recurring theme of ripple effect. And the other thing really wanted to emphasize that I know you highlighted so brilliantly, Michael, was about choice. That, making a pledge about something that you're passionate about. So what really matters to you, and how can you make a pledge? This is all about something that's voluntary and non-prescriptive. So what's one of those things you've been burning a desire to do? Try it, and it's amazing to see the ripple effect that comes out of these changes and these pledges. So thank you very much, Michael, for joining us. We're just truly thrilled, and want to open it up now for questions for Katie, Ryan, Jessica, Michael, or Tracy. Would love to hear from people. Do you have any questions for what you think was one of the most powerful things that you heard, or any questions that you have about what you could take away to learn and apply in your own sites? So we would like to invite you now to raise your hand if you want to ask a question. You're also welcome to pop any questions into the chat box, and we'll read them out to our presenters today and take it from there. So we'll just give it a couple minutes to see if there's any questions here from folks. Maybe while people are thinking and drumming up your own questions, I have a few thoughts on my own. So knowing from your experience right now, Ryan, Jessica, and Katie, as you move forward to the next time, this Change Day 2017, what is the biggest lesson you learned that you would share with others, the biggest tip you would give others for success?
Oh gosh, Colleen, no pressure, right? Biggest, yeah. I mean, for me, it's not to get hung up on where to start, but just to start. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but just to get the ball rolling. I think, like Michael said, have conversations, talk about it, and I think that you'll find that it'll sort of build on its own momentum. I think for me, the great thing about Change Day BC is that it does have momentum of its own. It's easy to talk about, and anyone I've ever talked to about it has been interested and wanted to participate. I think people get scared about not knowing what to pledge or feeling like they have to make a perfect pledge. You can make multiple pledges, and your pledges can change and evolve. So it's just to start the process, not get too attached to anything, and allow yourself to see where it goes and build partnerships. I mean, I think the navigation team at Burnaby is so successful. I mean, it's been in various forms now for coming on 8 years. Like, it's been in so many different forms, and it keeps evolving, right? It used to be called something else, and that doesn't matter. What matters is that the process lives. So yeah, I would just encourage people to start. I don't know, Ryan and Jess, if you have other thoughts.
I'm just trying to think. I think one of the things I learned from it all was that, there's a benefit to be had for building off of the positive energy that you can tap into when you're asking people to make pledges. So, having the tree really did help us kind of keep it alive. And like Katie was saying, when you walk by and you see your pledge on the tree, so if there's some mode of trying to perpetuate that good energy, I think that's a great thing to build into your plan. Because all sorts of different initiatives come and go. But it really was, I think, this particular initiative was one that really brought the site together, and having some sort of a plan in place to sort of keep that message alive really was I think the thing that sticks in my mind is the real benefit of it.
But we didn't know we were going to have a change tree.
No, we didn't.
Right? So that's what I mean. Like we didn't have a vision of a change tree.
No.
I think it was in just a brain dump. Someone said, "Oh, let's have a tree."
Yeah.
So we did.
Exactly.
So I think we had started the conversations in the process, and we were just open to that positive energy. and just continued to build on it.
Just let it go where it will, I guess.
Yeah.
We just try and connect with as many people as you can, and keep connecting with them in the weeks leading up and after.
Great advice, and I think that organic nature is so powerful, letting things just kind of flow the way they're meant to flow, and that connectivity is key. It's all about the relationships and the people. Tracy or Michael, is there anything you'd add to that?
It's Michael. I would add that I think the comment about reassuring people that it doesn't have to be a perfect pledge or a grand pledge or a huge pledge. That is one of the things I think that holds people back, is thinking that it has to be this awesome pledge because it's out there. Encourage them to go on the site and see what other people are pledging, because often they're very practical, you know, things about remembering to be grateful, remembering to say thank you, little things, remembering to introduce yourself to your patients. They get it. I think people get inspired by seeing other people's pledges.
I think you're so right there, Michael. There's power in the small things, and just, you know, that pledge doesn't have to be this great grand pledge, but that there's power in gratitude. There's power in thankfulness for the people we work with. Tracy, just create some space for you. Is there anything you'd like to add before we move on?
Oh, I just have to say I so agree with the people from Burnaby and from Michael, all of the suggestions. Knowing what was happening in the province through the Change Network was so beneficial for me to be able to share with my agency of what else was happening beyond our own agency. Was just motivating to know that there was a little girl in Surrey at her own school getting this going. And I think when people heard that it didn't have to be something, as others have mentioned, grand or large, or take a great deal of time out of their day, it was just something that any one of us could do in our daily lives, could make a difference. And really hearing from our patients, that was truly the catalyst for people moving forward with their pledges. So if I could say anything, is just really keep people informed, let them know what's happening outside your agency as well, and let those patients and families in on the Change Day in your area.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you so much to all of our Change Ambassadors. We're not seeing any questions in the chat box. If you think of questions, they'll send them our way. We certainly want to hear from you. But thank you, Katie, Jessica, Ryan, Michael, and Tracy for joining us today. We sure appreciate you sharing your wisdom. One of the, I think the biggest strengths, of Change Day was learning from each other. You know, the collective knowledge is so much more than the knowledge of the individual, and we can learn from each other, leverage each other's experience, and actually use them as springboards. And I know many people shamelessly stole some of the things that each of you are doing, so we so appreciate you doing this. So thank you so much for joining us. Now, we just have a few things before we wrap up today, and again, just thanks to our speakers. But what's next? Now, what's coming down the pipe? Now, we have so many things planned. If we spent the time going deeply into all of them, we simply wouldn't have time today. But we wanted to share a few things that are coming down the pipe. So we have created a Change Day calendar. That calendar sort of outlines the abundance of activities that we have planned for Change Day 2017. We're really trying to align this with the work that's happening across the system. And Sue's going to kindly share the link to this coming up. So we actually have a calendar that outlines what's happening from the launch today right through to some of the co-promotion we're doing around World Sepsis Week, Patient and Family-Centered Care Week, and some other things that are coming throughout the course of the campaign. So if you'd like to learn more, maybe print this off, laminate it, buff it every day, you can get a copy of this online for your use. The other thing, just we welcome you to kind of look through this right now. I seem to be having troubles moving the slides along. Oh, Sue, you've got it right now, so you can hand the ball back to me if you like. That might be easier. Is really looking at what's happening with Change Day in terms of some of the things that are coming immediately down the line. So one thing we heard about is that sometimes people get stuck on what to pledge for Change Day. It can feel daunting if you're not sure what it is you want to pledge. And the really beautiful thing is that we've actually created a system so you can like, join, and share other pledges. So if you see another pledge that really appeals to you, we encourage you to join that pledge. And also to show a little Change Day love and like other people's pledges. You know, fan the flame of some of the amazing commitments that people are making across the system. So we're actually going to have a like, join, and share a pledge week where we'll be profiling some pledges that people are really trying to invite people to join. That's September 25th, 29th, so stay tuned. That's going to be coming down the pipe. And we're really excited about this. It's really a chance for you to showcase favorite pledges, join other pledges, and really help sort of build momentum and energy around the pledges that have already happened in the system. So, you know, you can head into the pledge gallery, and maybe you want to throw a link in there right now, Sue, for the pledge gallery. You can go in and look at the pledges. You're welcome to look at pledges, like pledges, join pledges. We encourage you to do that. As an added bonus the week of like, join, and share a pledge, say that 3 times. We're actually going to be doing blog posts every day. We'll be having some amazing posts of people who are doing pledges that they're inviting people to like, join, and share, but we don't want to limit to that. So if you have something amazing you want to get people to share, like talk about it that week and throughout the whole campaign, is that often you have a pledge that's really important and you want others to know about and others to share. So in essence, share a little Change Day love and get on there and look at things. The next thing we have coming down the pipe, and you'll learn more about this, you won't want to miss out on our next Change Ambassador Network webinar, which is on September 26th. And there you're going to have a chance to learn more about Change Quests, which if you're itching for a little friendly competition with Change Day, this is the great opportunity. So Change Quest will be a virtual treasure hunt using the Goose Chase app. And this virtual scavenger or treasure hunt is going to be happening across 2 provinces, Alberta and BC, where we're going to have a selection of missions that you can complete. They're full of ideas for how to promote Change Day, and we'll actually do it in a way where you earn points the more of the missions that you complete for a chance to win prizes. The really nice thing is that we're competing against our neighbors in Alberta, and we sure don't want them to win, do we? So I encourage you to stay tuned for more details about Change Quest. Sabrina, who's on the call today, is going to be telling you more about it later this month, and you'll have a chance to learn more about how to sign up, get your teams in. It'll be running for 3 weeks, so you'll have some time to learn about this and all the cool things that are coming down the pipe. I get to hand it back now to Sue. We've got one last poll for you before we do a couple final wrap-up items. There we go.
Hi, everybody. Let's try this again. All right. I'm going to open it now. We have a minute.
So in the next week, I plan to make my pledge, get others to join my pledge, act on my pledge, or encourage others to pledge. I don't know if you can answer multiple answers here. That's tough because I might want to do all of the above. So because you can't pick more than one, pick the number 1 thing you're going to focus on this week. And we'll just maybe give it about 10 more seconds before we close off the poll. And then Sue and Sabrina can tally up the results and we can see the answer. I know you're all sitting on the edge of your seats waiting for the answer on this one to see what our answer is.
I'll close it now. It takes a few seconds to calculate the results.
So after we see the results of the poll, oh, here they're up now. So we've got a lot of people who are going to be making their pledge in the next week. That's one of the top things people are doing. Next to that, they're going to be encouraging others to make their pledge, get others to join a pledge, or acting on their pledge. So great to see that happening. Oh, all right. So now we're going to hand it back now and looking at the final thing today, Sue. We're going to do a little trial now. We're not 100% sure this is going to work, but we wanted to do the big reveal of our Change Day 2017 video. We're going to try showing it on WebEx. Now, before Sue pushes play and actually shows this to you, we just want to remind you that if you have the volume turned off on your computers, please turn it up. Now, there's a chance if you're working from a computer that doesn't have speakers that you won't hear the sound. Don't despair. We're actually going to send you a link to the video so you can see it after the fact. You can take it and post it on your Twitter feed. You can post it on Facebook. You can share it and show it to your friends and family. So we'll make sure you have that link and are able to see it. And I'll hand it over to you now, Sue, to show it to everyone. All right, everyone. I hope you were able to enjoy that, and if not, know that we will be sending the link out, and we'll be coming back to give you a chance to be able to look at the video later as well. Just as we wrap up today, we wanted to remind you that we do have another Change Ambassador Network webinar on September 26th. We have a few speakers that are in the hopper right now, and so stay tuned. You'll have a chance to hear more from some more Change Ambassadors, what they're doing this year for Change Day, and some of the things that are starting to shape up across the system. We know that these small steps have a big impact, so we hope you can join us. At the end of today's webinar, an evaluation will pop up. Please take the time to complete it. It's actually really important to us, and we really do read every single evaluation and take your feedback to heart. We want to know what we can do to make these better, more interesting, and more valuable to you. As we close off today, though, the very final thing is we want to invite you, we want to challenge you to make change happen. Now, we certainly want you to go out there and make your pledges. More importantly, change is all about action. And we invite you to make a pledge to actually commit to taking action to make our system better. And we know from the examples we heard today, from the many stories from Change Day the first time, that these had a ripple effect, an incredibly powerful and long-lasting ripple effect. We hear some that are still sustained today. So join us. Please, you never know what kind of ripple effect it might have. So make change happen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, for our presenters for sharing their stories and their wisdom, for taking the time out of very busy schedules to be able to be here. And we can't wait to hear what you're doing for Change Day 2017. So connect with us. Tell us what you're up to. If you're doing some amazing things, please tell us, and perhaps you'd like to join us in one of our future webinars as well and share your stories. So thanks, everyone. We're finishing 1.5 minutes early. Have a wonderful day. Just a reminder that this presentation has been recorded, and the slides and the recording will be posted on the website, so you'll be able to access them. Have a brilliant day. Thanks, everyone. And thanks again, Michael. Thanks, Ryan, Katie, Jessica, and Tracy.